It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of coaching related questions. So I thought I'd kick off this week with an episode all about one of the coaching topics that I frequently get asked. So I think the top two coaching topics that people ask me are one, how do I become an agile coach? What do I need to do? What level of experience or how do I do it? And then two, once I become an agile coach, what's some advice that I have about things you should do before you start your first engagement or any engagement as an agile coach? So I'll start with the first question. The first question is, what does it take to become an agile coach? Well, I'll start by saying it depends. And let me explain where I'm going with this. I've seen in the marketplace something that was quite shocking. I've seen some coaches where their level of experience is not commensurate to the level of coaching that they're trying to achieve. I've seen lots of times where people maybe go to a certified Scrum Master course, a basic SAVE course, and maybe one other course, who knows. And then they try to then go out into the world and proclaim to be a prolific agile coach who can help their organization, really make turns. And these are the coaches that when they get inside, discover just how difficult things really are. These are the coaches that figure out that coaching is not just about applying the things that you learn in a level one or even level two course, that there are a lot of things that come from experience. And if you don't have the experience, it's going to be hard to become an agile coach. So that begs the question, how do I get the experience without the coaching gig versus how do I get the coaching gig without having the experience? The chicken versus the egg question, right? So, what I can tell you is that it's not easy to break into your first coaching gig, but it shouldn't be hard. And here's what I mean by that. If you go out and you're just looking for the coaching gig that's going to pay all your bills and make you live happily ever after and be long term and last forever, you do not have a realistic expectation of what a coach does and how a coach behaves inside of an organization. What I'm thinking is that when I first started out doing coaching, I offered my services as an extension of being a scrum master for free for a number of years. I even took time to help personally coach scrum masters on how to be better. And I took time to mentor others. I volunteered times at coaching clinics, both at local meetups and at conferences. I made it a point to network and speak to other coaches at conferences and made certain I understood what they did and learned about, what their favorite thing about being a coach was and their least favorite thing, and learned about trials that they faced. And I spent a lot of time taking notes, writing papers, figuring things out. What I can tell you that shocks most people is that being an agile coach didn't take 1 year or 3 years or 5 years. A strong agile coach usually has anywhere from 8 to 10 years experience in their tenure before they attempt to go in and persuade a large scale organization on how they should be doing agile implementation. Now, the good news is that's not forever. The bad news is that's a lot of time. The other piece of bad news is I've seen some coaches who have the full 8 to 10 years of tenure, but typically, or in some cases within one organization, or they just haven't really had a whole lot of experiences that have driven them to make critical decisions. And their critical decision making skill set isn't where it needs to be. So, if I had to identify the top three things that you could do to prepare to become a coach, to start your career as a coach, to get it started, number one on the list would be patient. Don't try to rush things. Let yourself have experiences within your organization, both as a coach, or both as a scrum master, an advanced scrum master, a product owner, and even an interim coach where you're helping one or two teams be successful. That's number one. Be patient. Let time take its course. Gain that experience. It's going to be priceless later. Two is make sure that you do something to contribute and give back to the community at some point. Meaning whether it's attending a coach's clinic, helping at a local meetup for free, teach organizations what they need to do, write papers, speak at conferences, do the things that are necessary to establish credibility and to let the world know and show the world that while you are open to new experiences, that you have a great deal of experience participating in and behaving as an agile coach. And then three, once you have that experience, it's time for you to seek out the first engagement. And usually that means joining forces with another group of coaches or a coalition of coaches that have experience and that have a reputation that have already established themselves in the workplace. Now, one of the things that we do at Agile Dad, for example, is each of our coaches are independent contractors that work directly for Agile Dad, but we give them the flexibility and the freedom to take on personal projects, to take on individuals, to do whatever they need to do in order to help them be successful while they use the Agile Dad name umbrella and the Agile Dad reputation to help build their coaching clientele so that they can eventually become a world renowned coach. So it's not easy. And what I'm trying to say is make sure you master those certifications. If you're doing Scrum Alliance route, that would be making sure you get all three levels of your certified Scrum Master and all three levels of your certified Scrum Product Owner. That would mean getting your entry level coaching certification from the Scrum Alliance and striving towards that enterprise coach level. That's probably the big thing. But then once you become a coach, how do you know what to do in that first engagement? How do you know what to say? Or how do you know how to kick off an engagement as a coach? It's not easy because you need to ask questions that are very difficult. And a lot of coaches come in with a real surface level conversation and a boilerplate template of what their services are. And this is the wrong approach. I think that you need to sit down with the person who matters the most and ask the hard questions like, why is Agile so important right now? Why is this important? Why is it so important for me to be here right at this moment? What are the driving forces behind your decision to bring in a coach? What are your expectations? What are your goals? What's your reality and how far away is that from the goal? What opportunities do we have to improve? What are you hoping to achieve through these sessions? And then as a coach, you need to make sure that you meet these terms for your entire engagement. You need to make sure you find a tangible way to collect this information and show people that you are making a difference. And typically that means monetary savings in many places or accelerated throughput or better responsiveness with our end consumers. You need to find ways to track success not just of the initiatives that are happening, but of your engagement with those initiatives that are happening. You need to make sure that the number one thing you can do is reduce WIP and improve flow. Find the bottlenecks and eliminate them. Make sure teams are cohesive. Those are the things that a coach should be doing right away. And I think finally, you need to make sure you understand what problems they're attempting to solve. And make sure that you know that when you ask these questions, that what you're doing is you're formulating your North Star. You're formulating where you're trying to go. So the questions like, what are you looking for from an agile coach specifically? What do you think is the best way to go about this? How have you tried in the past and failed? What measures specifically are you looking to improve? How would you define whether me as a coach is successful or not? What would you like to see emerge? What do you want to see the end result be? But don't just stop at the surface answers. Dig deep, get to those root things, rip off some band aids, figure some things out. You definitely don't want to come across as a newbie coach who's just trying to push things through. You want to be a coach that helps organizations accelerate and helps them really gain traction and be successful. So, I guess the key is figure things out, but don't try to rush it. And at the same time, join forces with people who have the experience and have the knowledge and can give you the stories, the battle wounds, if you will, because those are going to be your tickets to have the best coaching experiences. The last thing I want to remind you about is we do have a document, and I'll drop a link to it in the description here, of something called the Agile 12-Step Program. This is literally a document that we put together to help our coaches kick off so that they would be able to help organizations understand the first 12 things that they could address from a coaching perspective. And let me tell you, thousands of organizations have used it and have seen marked success. Remember, the document's not all or nothing. It doesn't have to be done in order. But if you go and get the document, read through it, and do those things in an order that makes sense, it works better if you do it in order, then you'll see the success that you're looking for, and it'll help you on the path to becoming an Agile coach. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, feel free to reach out. Learn more at agiledad.com. We'd love to hear your suggestions. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.